Okay, I think we're good now. We're on YouTube, we're live. So let me answer that question. So when it comes to history, especially history that you weren't part of, what what is needed is the discipline to consult various sources, including the ones you don't like. For instance, I've said it several times. Some of the books that I quote in these sessions, I don't like some of them. And the reason I don't like some of them is because I know the bias of the author. And it's so cool because, let me tell you the coolest part of this. It's a lot better if the author tells us his bias. The ones I don't like are the people who tell you that they are not biased. Now, you have my pics. Is everything okay at home? You see me every day. You can take my picture now. When people say you have my, is that a threat? You can take my Abba. My video is out there. You can always take pictures. By the way, go say Michelle, but if you try anything, 6 feet, go gym, you just find yourself in there. It's not going to take a couple of days. Just putting that out there, by the way. All right. Easy. Go do something with it. While you are doing it, you might find yourself in the grave. You want dug by your own and your ancestors and your parents. Just find yourself in there. No big deal. And you have to be very stupid though, because for somebody who has his pictures and his videos out there, telling me you have my picture is actually quite stupid. Like, at least use your brain if you want to threaten. By the way, you can't even threaten me. You can threaten your parents. Where was I with King Ibedu? So King Ibedu, here's how it works. So let's say something happened in the past and you were not there. Now, A would have his own view, B will have his own view, C will have his own view. There's a story we read when we were in primary school. It has something to do with the elephant and how 10 blind men were asked to, describe the elephant. And the one who held the tail, thought it was like a snake. The one who, touched the side felt it was like a wall. The one who touched the tusk had a different, view of it. Everybody has a different view. What you do as a person in the 21st century is not to say it's a snake or it's a wall. What you do is to listen to everybody. And since we all claim to have gone to school, your job is, after listening to everybody, you now recreate in your own imagination what it is. And then if you are able to, thank God with all the technical stuff we have right now, you can now work with the information you have to create what really happened. The mistake we have in Nigeria is that one group says it's a snake and the rest of us must say nothing else. Even the ones who say it's a wall, they are told that it's a lie. The one who is saying is a snake is talking as though he had seen everything that makes up the elephant. But the only thing he has seen, sorry, let me just do something about this one. The only thing he has seen is, he didn't even see anything, just heard his parents. The only thing he has seen is, he didn't even see anything, just heard his parents. My father said it's like a snake, therefore it's like a snake. But your father only touched the tail. No, I don't care what you have seen. But the elephant is not a snake. No, I don't care what you're seeing. Then one person from, let's say, South says it's a wall because my own father told me, it's a wall because the father felt the side. Say, no, shut up, you are wrong. My job is not to tell you it's a snake or it's a wall. My job is to say, listen, when you put all of this thing together, the side looks like this, the tail looks like this, the tusk feels like this one feels like that. When you put it all together, that is now what it is. And thankfully, beyond that, we can even have a bird's eye view when you can go up and actually see the animal, because you are not blind like you're taking advantage of all the information they have, which is why I don't say, oh, there's nothing in what your parents told you, there's nothing in what your ancestors told you. Of course, there's something in it, but you have to know where to place it and not make it look as if it's the entire thing. A lot of times, what people know is what they know, but it doesn't mean that that's all there is. You see, what you know is what you know, but just because that's what you know does not mean that that's all there is. There's a lot more. So we'll listen to everybody and then we can recreate stuff. And people should just understand the fact that at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We're trying to understand the past, learn from the things that happened in the past and build a better future. But also you cannot do that without the truth, right? And when we say the truth, I'm not saying my truth or your truth. I'm saying the absolute truth. And in order to get there, we have to listen to all sides. But I think in Nigeria for many years we've been listening to only one side, and that side is used to it. And that's why this person who
will come here and just say things and they don't get it. I'm actually on
will come here and just say things, and some people, because they don't get it. I'm actually on their side, but they will never understand. It might take a while, but everybody will be all right. The absolute truth that you believe is majorly causing crisis among tribes. That's the thing. It's not even known. So how is it causing problems if it's not known? It's been shut down. Anybody who says anything is told that is a bigot for many years. The East has made sure of that by weaponizing empathy. And let me tell you the truth. Let me tell you something, King Ibeju. I think we can have a conversation today. That thing that the East does, that tells you, that stifles the truth, actually affects the East more than any other group.
People just see you. Sometimes just allow it.
That's the sad part.
It's the way you treat.
People just see you. Sometimes just allow it to be. It's the way you treat. Let me not. I don't want to compare with anything, but they just treat the person. Monobly say with the have any. They just leave the person, but the person is condemned to a particular level in life, especially in politics.
That's the truth. The second part is the children of that person cannot.
That's the truth. The second part is the children of that person cannot see themselves as real citizens of Nigeria because their parents did not resolve the crisis, not as a nation or in their minds. Somebody commented on one of the videos and said, Emeritus Bawo, I think the professor gone. Somebody said, we should have Truth and Reconciliation Committee like they had in South Africa. I was like, we had to put that panel. One day, I have a book by Bishop Matthew Kuka, Witness to Truth. Maybe one day we'll review that book. I don't think, it's good to have stuff like that, and I'm glad Nigeria had it when we did. But I don't think that's what Nigeria needs, to be honest. I think it's people have to be comfortable with it's a thing where people have to be comfortable with the fact of history.
You hurt me here.
Like, this happened, I messed up here. You hurt me here. I tell you what you did wrong. I accept what I did wrong, and then I'll be okay. If that's what we're looking for, we'll be fine. But if it's all about, let's say that let me point to you what you did to me, and that's all. And when you hear what you did, like, I didn't do anything like that. No, you are destroying my name. You are a bigot. If we do that, we cannot heal.
I've said it several times.
And I hope that we heal. I've said it several times. As long as we are in Nigeria, even if we have regional system, there will still be relationship. And if there's anything I don't want for the next generation, I don't want them to have to go through what we went through at the hands of clowns who are saying, we're just being funny by throwing jabs at Yoruba people, and Yoruba people don't say anything because they don't know the real thing that happened. I'm from the north, and honestly, I believe that it would be best if the country split. I support your view, by the way. I've said this several times. See, the best thing is for different nations to emerge out of Nigeria. That's the best thing. But you see, even if that's what we want to have, we still need to understand what happened. You know why? It's a tool. See, ignorance is a tool in the hands of a propagandist. He will wield it against you. In other words, you can come in the next 5, 10, 20, 50 years, even though we're not the same nation, and begin to say things to get certain things in my space. And then you have a new generation of maybe ignorant people because we've not talked about anything. And then you still be able to use it. Malaysia and Singapore used to be one country. India and Pakistan used to be one country. Everything that happened between those countries, between each of those couples of countries, between India and Pakistan and between Malaysia and Singapore, and many of those countries are split. Everything is in the public space. I've been doing some studying on Singapore. Basically, already so involved me.
Just trying to
I was doing
understand.
some stuff on Singapore,
Just trying to
and
understand
just
how
trying
they
to
built the
understand,
place. So I had to go all the
you
way to the
know,
beginning.
just trying to understand how they built the
Everything
place.
that
So I
happened,
had to
even
go
when they
all the
became
way
part
to
of
the
Malaysia.
beginning.
Excuse me. And when they had to break out
Everything
of
that happened,
Malaysia,
even when they became part of
how they were
Malaysia.
running the country, and what
Excuse me. And when they
role
had to break out of
electricity is
Malaysia,
playing, and
and now they're running the
how Singapore
country,
worked with
and what
China,
role ethnicity
and
is
how
playing, and how
when
Singapore
people
worked
show
with
this things, we're like,
China, and
so why
how
are we making
see,
it look like we have
you just the
something
more
so
you saw
grand
these
that
things, you're like,
everybody must know it? Like
so
everybody,
why are we making it look
everybody.
like we have
I'm not even
something so grand
Singaporean,
that
I know those
nobody must
things.
know about? Like everybody in, I'm not
So
even
the point
Singaporean, I
is
know
that
those things.
putting everything out, even if you break the country today, it's still important
So
for us to
the
know, so
point
that
is
people will
that
not come tomorrow and say,
putting everything
it's
out,
my
even if you
father that
break the
started this,
country
that
today,
owns
it's
this
still
country.
important for us to know, so that people will
Therefore,
not
I
come
have a
tomorrow
right
and
in
say,
Yoruba land.
it's my father that
Even
started
if
that owned Ife.
we're no longer in Nigeria.
Therefore, I have a right in Yoruba land,
You see the point? The
even
point is
if
not so much
we're no
about,
longer in
oh, we
Nigeria.
must be in Nigeria together. I don't really care for that, to
You
be
see the
honest.
point? The point
I
is
would
not
love
so
for it
much
to
about,
happen if we
oh, we must
restructure
be
the
in Nigeria
nation
together. I
and
don't
it
really
work
care
for
for that, to be
everybody.
honest. I would love
If
for
we
it to
break the
happen if we
country,
restructure the nation and then it
hopefully
can
it
work for
doesn't,
everybody.
having to do with
If
violence
we
or
break the
destruction
country,
process, whichever one.
hopefully
The
it
point is
doesn't,
that the history of
having
this
to do
sort
with
of thing is
violence, it goes through the normal
before
process,
somebody now
whichever
comes
one.
and tell my
But the
children
point is that the
that
history
they
of
own my own
what has
land.
happened
I'm
should be
from Ife,
known.
by the way.
Before somebody
That's
now
one of the
comes and
reasons
tell
why
my
it's still
children that
painful.
they own my
And
hometown.
to make it even
I'm from
worse,
Ife, by
Ife
the way.
is the
That's one of the reasons
source
that thing is quite
for all
painful.
of us.
And to
So
make
when
it
you say
even
things
worse,
like
Ife is the
we
source
own Ife
for all of
before
us.
Yoruba people came and
So
then
when you
removed
say
us
things
from
like
Nigeria, all those
we
things.
owned Ife before Yoruba people
You can just
came
say
and
I'm
then
just
removed
lying.
us, they
Let's take
came
it like
from
that so that we
Arabia,
don't
all
speak
those
and we
nonsense
don't
that
be
they got.
bigots. If you
You
like,
can't just say, oh,
you
because we're in Nigeria, let's take it like that. Because if I speak, I'll be a bigot. If you like, call me
anyway,
bigot.
I
That's
hope
your
you're having a
problem.
wonderful day. And I'm glad that King Ibetu is here.
Anyway,
He used to insult me
I
every
hope we're
day.
having a wonderful day.
In here,
And I'm glad that
and
King Ibetu is there.
also
He used to insult me every
the comment
day
section of my videos
in
insulted
here,
me, insulted my father,
and also in the comment section of my videos, insulted me, insulted my father.
insulted my father. But you see, the good thing is that it's sorry,
Insulted my father. But you see, the good thing is that it's
insulted me very
sorry,
well.
oh,
But you see, the good thing is once
insulted
you
me very
get,
well.
once you
But you
see
see,
where I'm
the good
coming
thing
from, you
is
understand the fact that
once
I'm
you
not
get,
against you.
once you see where I'm coming from, you understand the fact that
I'm not against you.
I'm not against you.
I'm just,
I'm not against you.
I just have a problem with people
I'm
who celebrate
just,
their
um,
own, what's
I
the
just have
word?
a problem with people who will celebrate their
Celebrate,
own, what's the word? Uh,
celebrate
celebrate
and calling other people heroes.
their own
That's the issue I have.
villains and calling other people heroes villains. That's the issue I have, right?
I don't know if it's the light. This one that my eyes are exposed to plenty lights now.
I don't know if it's the light. This one that my eyes are
Then
exposed to
afterwards.
plenty lights now.
All right, let's go to
But we thank
yes.
the
Let's start
Lord.
with the news and then get to the
All right,
conversations.
let's get started with the news and then we'll get to the conversations later. Bring people up after a while. Let's start with something nice from Tunde Onokoya. A simple tweet. And if you were here when we were playing Ebenezer Bay, it's one of the songs to Ibabako. Tunde types or posted the horse, the man, and the sun. Kò sọ́gbọ́n tó lè dá, kò síwá tó lè wù, kò sọ́nà tó lè mọ̀, tó lè fi táyé lọ́rùn o. Báyìí mo ní wọ́n get there o. Kò sọ́gbọ́n tó lè dá, kò síwá tó lè wù, kò sọ́nà tó lè mọ̀. All right, so don't cuckoo bother. Just do what's right, and don't bother about whether people are okay with it. So I guess he put that out there because of what happened yesterday with people. I mean, somebody talked about it here during the session, And then after the session, I went online just to understand it a bit more, and it's just disgusting. You know, people saying, "Oh, you should not go. You shouldn't have gone." He's working with those who were destroying the nation.
This your passion that started last year.
That's why I say, young people that have all this passion for Nigeria. This is your passion that started last year. Ẹ ṣáà máa farabalẹ̀ ṣá o. Ẹ máa farabalẹ̀, because no be like that. No be like that. Yeah, I'm glad he went, regardless of what people said. It makes sense for him to meet the president of his nation. Let me read something for instance. It says, not only did you honor his invitation, you even gifted him a chess set. The same chess you used to uplift children from the slums, he not only engineered, but also ensures more children stay in them and new ones fall in every year. But by all means, go ahead and celebrate him. He was not invited. He lobbied to see the president. Listen, all these children of hate, I call them children of perdition. Don't let them. Life we cannot be. If you have something to do in life, just do it. They will insult you, that's fine. But just do what you want to do, as long as you're doing the right thing. Everybody will be all right. But let me read something from today, and then we'll close that chapter. Maybe, but at least for now. It says, the anger, the hate, the love, the applause, the criticism, all of it is valid, and I embrace it. I'm a world record holder, which means I have attained something no one else in the world has ever done. I was recently honored and awarded by the city of New York. To be honored and received by the president and the highest office in my own country for this reason is not a crime. It is not even a national honor, by the way. I have declined many awards. Comparing me to people who have received awards and recognition from countries that have committed war crimes is at best laughable. I have no interest in partisan politics because of the sensitivity of the work that I do. If that ever changes, then I will resign my role as CEO of Chess in Slums Africa. The rhetoric that chess in slums only exists or is relevant because of bad governance is not accurate. The real impact of our work is in the synapses. We're using chess as a tool to teach cognition and improve academic outcomes. Using it as a social intervention tool is because those children are falling through the cracks and cannot make it to the classrooms. This is not charity or NGO. What most of you measure as the most tangible impact is with just dignifying the stories of the children you see all the time on the streets but pay no attention to. The real impact here is ensuring they have the critical capacity to think for themselves and putting them through formal or vocational education. I continue to consult with educational institutions and tech companies around the world, so my work will always be relevant, and whatever resource or influence that gives me, I will use all of it to serve the children who deserve a place in the world as well. A visit is not an endorsement. I will visit many people and will continue to sell my chessboards. I mean, it's quite long, but I won't even bother writing this kind of thing, to be honest, because the people is responding to a bunch of clowns that deserve no. It's like when you talk to them, they think they're human beings and they now come again. Just let them. Come agbo, gbigbo aja. Kini ẹni ṣe pẹ̀lú wọn tẹ. All right, so that's that about that. Someone says this NGO rubbish in Nigeria is mostly a front to be relevant and siphon money, because if you really care about these kids and what they are passing through, you will abhor the government who are the reason for their pathetic lives, but you don't really care. You are just using their predicament for clout and access to places and power. Mind you, this person has never spoken up against this government, or just rubbish and vibes. And by the way, just about every single one of them are from the same region in Nigeria. Officially, at this point, just about every single one of them is from the same. They are from the same ethnic group in this country, and they are all obedient. There must be something they drink in that group that makes them just the brain just evaporates. Like this is sad. In your color, oh gal.
Meanwhile, ìkànnì wọn lọ sọ́dọ̀ Tinubu last week.
Ọlọ́run ṣàánú. Meanwhile, ìkànnì wọn lọ sọ́dọ̀ Tinubu last week. àbí ṣé oṣù tó kọjá ṣọ́ọ̀tẹ̀ tó kọjá ní tó lọ bá Shettima chief priest àbí kí ló kọ tiẹ̀ kò sẹ́ni tó bú o tó lọ bá Shettima tó kúnlẹ̀ kò sẹ́ni tó bú yẹn o Davido wà ń bẹ̀ last week kò sẹ́ni tó bú o sí sọ pé òun kan Igbo kan bákan. àrùn ọpọlọ lélẹ̀ yọ lọ bọ̀ àrùn ọpọlọ at a whole scale level bí ìgbà tẹ́ kún wọ́n kàn pín ó dẹ̀ kárí ó mà ṣe o ó mà ṣe o. There's no reason a people should be this angry. Like, Abba. And I'm not saying everybody from the Southeast is like this. I'm saying majority of those complaining are from the same place. How? Is it because you lost an election? Because at this point, it's not better people who lost an election. Be like saying that the entire people. So this is sad. This is sad. Anyway, moving on from there, let's read something from Mr. Showme, who went to visit the president a couple of days ago. Shegun Showme, former spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar's 2023 presidential campaign, said President Bola Tinubu is smarter than his political rivals, including Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. Showme said this when he appeared on Channels Television's Politics Today on Monday. While addressing concerns regarding his recent visit to the president, the former governorship aspirant in Ogun said his meeting with Tinubu should not be interpreted as betraying his political affiliation with Atiku. Showme, who declared his political independence on the show, said he is not tied to any politician. Asked if he told Atiku before meeting Tinubu, Showme said he is at liberty to make decisions for himself as an adult. I am at liberty as an adult to take decisions. I am not tied to anybody. I am not anti-Tinubu. I own my mouth, I own my words, and I own my arguments. Showme spoke glowingly about Tinubu and his programs, saying the difference between the president and his political rivals lies in his smartness. Quote, do you know the difference between Bola and them? He doesn't have one approach to dealing with everybody. By miles, Tinubu, is smarter than them. He's smarter than Peter Obi, he's smarter than them, he said. Asked if Tinubu is smarter than Atiku, he replied, he's smarter than them. On why he visited the president, the PDP chieftain said he had a deep relationship with Tinubu, saying he has known him since 1994. By the way, tomorrow is Democracy Day in Nigeria. It's going to be a beautiful day to celebrate what we now hopefully don't lose with this complacency and lackadaisical attitude. But yeah, that's that from that. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has said that he will continue to support President Bola Tinubu as he takes difficult but courageous and necessary economic decisions to fix Nigeria's economy. Nobody's saying anything about this one. No. Nobody's fighting this man, Oti. Because from a particular, it's not from the wrong tribe. So if you're from another tribe, you can't share one, can't share one, can't broke with them. All right. Let's play something like a video from Senator Adedaya Adeyeye. This is from his interaction on Arise TV. Please take a listen. Please take a listen.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. I think if I am going to score the president in the last for his performance in the last 2 years, I probably give him almost 99%. I think he has done extremely well. I think those of us who started this campaign, Swagger, which was the group I led, the foremost campaign organization for the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are not disappointed. We have been vindicated that we've sold a very capable leader to Nigerians, and he has not disappointed. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been extremely courageous in terms of the economic policies that he had initiated. Number one, the removal of the fuel subsidy. I don't need to belabor the point. I think both national and international observers, business people, economics, and perceptive observers have all commended that effort. Because Nigeria was on the throes of death, almost in ICU, by the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over. There was not even any money to pay for importation of fuel, not to talk of even subsidizing it. And we were like Father Christmas to our neighboring countries. The country was bankrupt, absolutely bankrupt. So it was a courageous decision that he took. And mind you, other leaders have contemplated taking the same decision, even since the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo, but they lacked the courage to take it. But he was able to see that without taking that decision, there was no way Nigeria could move forward. The economy would have completely collapsed by now. We talk of increase in fuel prices, but by now, without any money to import fuel, we will all be riding bicycles. We would have all been riding bicycles. So I want to commend that effort. And even the floating of the currency concurrently with that was an ingenious step, a very brilliant move by the president. Because we were having rent seekers in the economy who are feeding fat on the resources of the nation. You see, people go because of their connections with the powers that be, with the CBN and other powerful agencies. They go collect dollars and then go and sell at the black market without doing anything. They make huge profits.
All right, we're not going to play everything, but I just want to play that because I thought it's good to acknowledge the good that's been done in the midst of all this cacophony. Everybody's angry and crying, but there is something to also be happy about. Moving on from there, I'll play a video of an interview, an exchange on Channels TV with Chief Dele Momodu, and please take a listen.
He has insulted. I am not a major stakeholder in PDP. Today, there is only one major stakeholder in PDP, and that's from Wike. There is none other. All former governors, current governors, he has insulted them, black and blue. He doesn't care. And they've all taken it with uncommon equanimity. But to call me a major stakeholder, no. I've always been a conscience of reason in PDP. I'm a technocrat. I'm a professional. I have a job. Politics for me is part-time. In fact, if the miracle would happen, it should be that politicians in Nigeria must first of all present their credentials, show us what work they've done before, the businesses, the empires they have built before they come. So what is happening is that there are too many people who live virtually on politics in Nigeria, and so it makes it so difficult for them to understand, to appreciate the suffering of the ordinary people of Nigeria. Nobody is talking about governance again in Nigeria. They are campaigning. Yesterday I drove through Akure and I already saw campaign offices of Mr. President. It's unbelievable. INEC is watching. People want to register new parties. They can't register it because they will put all kinds of bottlenecks on their path. So for me, whatever happens, when I said my soul is out of PDP, there is nobody except maybe those benefiting from this government or any other government who would be happy to see how PDP is in tatters today, to see the rags PDP is wearing today, just because one man wants to keep PDP for himself. He knows what he's doing. They say he's bold, he's courageous. I dare him to join APC. He's holding PDP down, hoping that whenever APC runs into trouble, then he will resurrect PDP for himself. That's all. He knows that PDP is dead. The man who says presidency should be zoned to the south wanted to be vice president to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He doesn't like to hear that truth, but that's the truth. He wanted to be vice president to Atiku Abubakar. So if the current vice president and they won that election, will he be talking the way he's talking now? And at any rate, each and every political party has a right to field any candidate, no matter where that candidate is coming from. Any candidate, whether in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west. It is the right, it is the sole prerogative of every political party. It is not the sole property of Nyesom Wike. In fact, what he is doing now in the decent society is tantamount to staging a coup against a political party by going on out and using forces of coercion and all manner of subterfuge to fight the party that made him everything that he is today. I have no fear of contradiction about everything that he is today came from that party.
All right, I'm not going to say much on it, but if you want to talk about it, once we bring people up, please feel free to talk about that. Speaking about Wike, the FCT minister actually, with the president commissioned, or recommissioned, so to speak, or commissioned the refurbished International Conference Center yesterday, and he has also renamed it the Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me get the full name. The Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference Center in Abuja. So that was opened yesterday. I'm just going to play like a couple of videos from the event. This one is from the president. This was his speech, well, part of his speech, and I'll play Wike's own as well. So please take a listen.
In ourselves, and what we can do, what Nigeria can be, a great nation on earth. Through the Renew Hope agenda, we are determined to renew infrastructure across the key sectors of this country. Transportation, healthcare, education, energy, and urban development. Because we understand that modern infrastructure is the backbone of a thriving economy in an inclusive and progressive society. The International Conference Center is part of our country's larger vision to become a hub for regional diplomacy, continental trade discussions, global partnership, and many more thoughtful, well-outlined goals that reflects our Nigerian first. I thank all of you. Eugene Abu, I thank you too. For being a reflection of quality in media space. Thank you very much. Today, I say once again to all of you, Baraka de Salah.
All right, moving on. I read something from the Minister of the FCT, then I'll play some of his videos. So this, let's just go straight to the videos. There are two, then I'll read this later. So there's a second place.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, let me thank you once again for giving us the opportunity. We know that time is not on your side. but it's important for the public to understand and to know why today this is called Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference. This conference was built in 1991 under the military government. Since that time, nothing has happened. Parliament. It was an embarrassment for a country to have this as an international conference then. And you said, how can we have this as an international conference? That showed leadership. And you said, look, next time you want to come here, you want to see a different international conference. Within 8 months, Mr. President, this is what we have. And I feel that without your leadership, it wouldn't have been possible. You are not the only president who have come here. So many presidents have come here. Nobody has said, this is not what Nigeria needs. But because of your leadership, you gave a marching order. This is not the quality to show that Nigeria is a giant of Africa. Today, this...
All right, I'm just going to read a few things from here before we play the video of the... One second. The commissioning at Katampe. Let me just read this first. It says, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has thrown his weight behind Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike's aggressive campaign to recover on unpaid ground rents, targeting embassies, government agencies, and private entities in Abuja. Speaking at the commissioning of the newly renovated Abuja International Conference Center, now renamed in his honor, Tinubu said, quote, "Our Nigeria first, you must obey what the landlord, that Wike, says. If you want to use this place, you got to pay for it." Of course, Wike had said that also. Is also in this speech, but I don't know if you wait, it's too long. Essentially, that's what Tinubu said. So let me now play, what he said in Katampe. By the way, Katampe is a district in Abuja.
Sometimes, I don't know how spiritually I was touched. I was taught to just tune in. I was watching. I didn't know that people can be paid. I didn't know. And now I know that such people are paid. My duty now is to make sure not to give them high blood pressure. As it depends them, you go to sweet us. As it is sweet us, you go to depend them. That's my job. That's my job. That's my business. I will be happy every time, moving, laughing. And then they will be there fighting and shouting and killing themselves. So, Mr. President, we want to thank you that we are part of this, what is going on, the revolution that is going on. Yeah, good work and skilled coalition. I was thinking that truly there will be coalition. So when they see what's happening every day, and I told my people, make sure that every national television must hook in. So if they turn to DBN, they are watching Mr. President. If they turn to TVC, it's Mr. President. If they go to channel, Mr. President. If you go to NTA, Mr. President. Even the one that don't watch Arise, Mr. President. So we can go. Papa, I don't follow Tinubu go. If you see my mama, tell them I don't follow Tinubu go. So
All right. So that's about it. A few more things I'm going to read, and then we'll bring people up. We'll talk about stuff for a while. 1 second. All right. Let's just read this. Hold on, please. So we already heard this one from Daily Post. My soul has left PDP. We listened to Chief David want to say that already. Don't pay attention to the busybodies and bystanders. Just listen to this one. It's quite short.
foresight, the vision and determination to succeed. Thank you very, very much.
One more video, if you guys don't mind. Just one more. Okay. Just one more video.
Glamorizing anger. That was why I told Peter, Claire, you are now a big voice in our country. It is not your responsibility to go all over the world just demarketing the nation. What's wrong with you? On top of that, you don't be shouting production. If they ask you a question, I can't even answer it. So the point I'm making is that if you are for Nigeria, whether you're APC, PDP, or whatever you call it, I'm for you. But if your idea is you hate the country, you want us to implode, you will not see anything good, you want the country to be, cloning themselves, Yoruba this, outside this, I don't have time.
Every week, change your bedsheet.
All right, that's Shegun Showme talking about some people's faves. Have you say fave, Danny? Some people's fave. All right, Lagos State High Court sitting in Aja has sentenced a 45-year-old businessman, Chukwudi Goodness, to 74 years imprisonment for stealing 360 million naira and issuing 31 dot checks in a criminal case that spanned nearly a decade. Wow. Ghana has banned individuals from publicly using honorary doctorate or professorship titles, warning that violators will face public exposure and possible legal action. Pastor Adeboye, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, visits Alaafin of Oyo. I think we're good for now. Let's bring people up. We'll have some minutes to discuss so that we get to the conversation for today. Today we're continuing. We're going to be talking about Biafran invasion, continue with the series, what led to the war. So let's bring some people up so you can share your thoughts, and then we can listen and then move on much later. So present your request if you'd like to be part of this conversation. We're talking about the things we've listened to so far. So let's keep it on Kodati Solataro. Good afternoon. Is it Mr. Adegwe? Is it Mr.? Adegwe, would you like to say something? Just want to be sure because you did not say anything. You have gone down. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Does anybody want to share anything? May I know how we go start today? Okay. I guess we'll listen to something before we get on then. Let's, just so I can use that one to readjust and get ready. So this is something from the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Bola Bolton. Ẹkáàbọ, sir. Good to see you, sir. So please take a listen to, it's a mix, Tinubu and Peter Obi, and then, that one will help me to also get ready for the conversation.
People to invest in. That's what we must do. Credit is available. Once credit is available, that is anti-corruption. If our credits are open and people need a car, they don't have to pay 4 million cash at the same time. Jimovia, you better think about this. And promoting more credit for this economy. Extend loans that will stimulate this economy. We don't have to pay for a house of 10 million same day, same month with cash. Once you can give us credit, tie it to mortgage, and we can pay instrumentally, you have reduced the propensity for corruption.
How will you tackle corruption?
That is how. Women, the reason why you see a lot of corruption in this country is because we have built so many toll gates in terms of the way we operate. First, for me, an incoming government should concentrate their energy on ensuring that there's no more, at least a very big reduction on the issue of corruption. You can change the past, but let's deal with the present. If you have a shop, let me just do it in a way people will understand. Ruben, if you have a supermarket where people are stealing, you don't close the shop and go and pursue those who are stealing, because your business will collapse. That's what happened to Nigeria. What you need to do is to do what will make you and to ensure that the incidence of stealing reduces. Put a few things here and there.
Does anybody understand? I mean, did you hear anything that if you understand? If there's something you understand, please come up to explain. Because me, I don't get. What are you going to do? Arabe is your job. A job boy, no. I don't understand. No. So that's how to fix corruption. I have no idea what it means. Now you say a lot of things, but you say nothing. That's the definition of saying a lot, but saying nothing. By the way, that conversation what the president was talking about, I was having that conversation with someone over the weekend. This whole thing about mortgage and credit and how everything in Nigeria you have to pay for. So I hope that works. I hope that happens. It's going to help a lot of people. But let's listen to one more video and then I will get into the conversation for today. This one is from... One second, please. Sorry, this is not what I wanted to play. 1 second. No. So I had a video saved from the former First Lady, Patience Jonathan. I mean, the woman knows they send anybody. But let's just play something and then maybe listen to something. Hopefully it will bring people up because I don't want to jump straight into it. So 2 more things. I'll play one stuff about from Abacha's widow, Miriam Abacha, and then something from Peter Obi. And if you'd like to speak on it, you can come up. If not, after the videos, we'll go straight into the topic of today, which is what led to the war. So please take a listen.
Would you say that all of these claims are accurate, especially with all of these repatriations of funds and all of them, credited to the monies stashed abroad under the military administration of the late General Sani Abacha?
Who is the witness of the monies that were being stashed? Did you see the signature or the evidence of any monies stashed abroad? And the monies that my husband kept for Nigeria, in a few months, the monies vanished. People are not talking about that. Why are you blaming somebody for is that tribalism or religious program, or what is the problem with Nigerians? I pray for Nigerians. I pray for all of us. I pray that we should have goodness in our hearts. We should stop telling lies and blaming people. Why are we so bad towards each other? Because somebody is a northerner or a southerner, somebody is a Muslim or a Christian, or somebody is nice, or it's not fair. I think the press should try, the press should try to educate the people. You are here to educate the people, to inform the people, and to entertain. You are here to help the country. You are not here to bastardize people.
Indeed.
You know? People are not that bad. People are not. When things are happening, you are not talking about. 27 years ago, you are still talking about him. Abacha must be very powerful. Abacha must be very loved by all of you, by all of Nigerians, by all of us. We thank God for that.
Yes, you know,
we are still talking about it, alhamdulillah.
Yes, you know, and they were also, it's on record that Nigeria's economy was also strong under the administration of General Sani Abacha. You know, there was an increase in foreign exchange reserves. External debt was reduced.
So where did he steal the money from? So where would he have stolen the money from? Where would he have stolen the money from?
Well, that's what previous administrations told Nigerians, that a lot of Nigerians' monies were taken out and kept overseas.
And because Nigerians are fools, they listen to everything. Babangida doesn't make Nigeria alone. Abacha does not make Nigeria alone. Abiola and everybody, nobody is big enough for Nigeria. We are all very important. Even the single man on the street is very important. We are all human beings. For goodness sake, all this wahala should stop. Babangida cannot make things or make things. She might do that cancer away. Gaskiya.
All right. Then.
Who could have thought that the day would come when someone would tell us that the money being repatriated to Nigeria was saved for Nigeria? Nigerians are ungrateful people. You should be grateful. They saved money for you and you are angry. So it's been 27 years. Why are they still talking about it? Are you not talking about Jesus Christ? Are you talking about Prophet Muhammad? So why would they not stop? Why would they stop talking about him? Especially considering what happened. So anyway, he says the loot claims are lies and that the husband saved money for us. So apparently we're supposed to be grateful for that foresight. One last video and then we'll move on. I don't want to say anything about that video like that, but it's just that I don't like it when people assume that the rest of us are stupid. Save money for us. For sure. One more video, then we'll go on to the topic.
Said this is about Christians. They should have even said some things that I did that was positive, or I said that was positive. But let me tell you, I've consistently maintained that I would have removed the fuel subsidy. If you go to my manifesto, it's there. Steps I would have taken to do it in an organized manner. There was nothing wrong in removal of subsidy. What is wrong is the haphazard way in which it was announced and implemented. Everybody knows that the subsidy regime was a solution of criminality, that there was a lot of corruption around everybody, which needed to bundle that aspect out of it, do it in an organized manner. And since you're doing it for savings, we're told we're doing it because we don't want to continue to borrow to continue the subsidy. And the removal of it will be able to have available.
My lecturer will get me angry and tell me, go and repeat this page. I said, this man don't know that I'm old. Very soon I will leave this thing and go and rest. Because what am I going to do with this? It's just to keep the brain moving. Just to keep the brain moving. God give you glory. That thing that seems impossible, God make it possible. And I graduated. Before you will know it, last week was my graduation. I give God the glory. I give Papa the glory. I say, God, thank you. If patients can make it, you, the younger ones, you can make it. No age limit in education. You are 100 years, you can make it. You are 10 years, you can make it. Just sit at me. And you will go there. And you will make it. Right. I thank you, Father. Father, glorify your name.
There's no way I was going to pass on
Madam Patience's video. So that's Madam Patience Jonathan. She has a page now, so she gave a testimony. I mean, I just smile every time I see this woman. Wonderful. So yeah, just to ask one more time, does anybody want to contribute? Because once we start, we may not be able to have other people come up until much later. So is there anybody who would like to speak? You know what? I'll bring people up by force because I need to catch my breath for just a couple of minutes. I thought that the video would help, but I think I need a couple more minutes. And then we'll get into the conversation. So let me invite some people. In fact, the ones who wanted to speak yesterday who didn't speak, I'll invite you now. And then if you can't come in, I know, understand that you're probably busy or something. So let's just have you speak and then I'll get into the conversation proper. Hello, Ms. Olushola. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Ẹkáàbọ. Ṣé dáadáa lẹ́wà?
Àrùkọ́ fọlọ́run. Ẹ kú iṣẹ́ náà.
Yes, sir.
This Peter Obi, nípa ọ̀rọ̀ Peter Obi yẹn lè fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ lórí.
Okay,
Oh, in fact, ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ ó bá fún mi gan seriously. Torí wọ́n máa bí lórí ìrù ló máa sọ. When they ask you, you are telling us about the fuel subsidy or about corruption, you are comparing your supermarket to Nigeria corruption. Is that making sense? He said the Yas supermarket, they are not stealing there. He's comparing the way he's handling his supermarket to how it will handling oil sector, how it will handle aviation sector, how it's going to handle agriculture sector. And that, even this man, I don't think he's qualified to be a local government chairman. If Nigeria were, how? Him being a governor is just opportunity for him. He's just lucky to be there by that particular time. It's not that he doesn't want it. Compare based on what is spilling out from his mouth right now. You can't be comparing your small business to that supermarket. How many places do you have it in Nigeria? Talk less of, did he have it in all the states in Nigeria? I think he has it only in Abuja and maybe in Anambra. That next cash and carry, and he's using it to giving us how he's going to run to make sure there's no corruption in Nigeria again. This man is just a joker. I think we shouldn't take him serious because I remember one of his interview. He said China went to China. If it's the president that make that type of statement now, they will use it as their advert in every TV station and radio station. What is the meaning of that? China went to China. No, this man is not sound at all. It's not sound. You can't even, for me, if I want to judge him, yeah, I can never vote for him as a local government chairman, not less of a president of Nigeria. Because
All right,
his
thank you.
people,
Okay.
even his people, I'm surprised that we have more stupid people from that side. The shallow thinker people, the way they think, the way they talk, they talk the same way, both the elderly ones. See, when this one that is inside DSS custody right now, when he's saying Buhari is Dublin for Sudan, all of them they support him, both the elderly ones. They believe him. They queue behind him saying the same thing. So they will not, I don't know, they think the same way. So I don't think the difference between them and their young ones. Because the young ones learn from the elderly ones. It's the elderly ones, the way they reason, it's the same way. They are shallow thinker people. We don't need to take them serious. The only thing, Arara ọba ṣe bí kó lágbájá, àwọn kéékèèké wọn aṣọ dẹgbẹ́. Once they want to step on our toes, we should give them what they deserve. So that's what we make them realize that these people don't take nonsense.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Esheun. And our folks on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Queen says, congrats to her. I want an example. I think you were talking to the former First Lady, and then talking about Obi. So that's called word salad from Mr. Obi, my brother. Absolutely. I don't think he understands the question. Other Babs, thank you very much for your comment on YouTube. And we're about to dive right into the topic of today. So thank you very much, Mr. Oshara, for coming. You being here actually just helped me to, get ready. And now I'm ready. So let's go. Thank you. So I'm going to take you down now and then we can get into the topic of today. Thank you, sir. All right. So today we're discussing what led to the war. This is part 9. And we're looking at Biafran invasion. We started talking about it yesterday, and so the way the war happened, even when Ojukwu was doing everything he was doing, the federal government didn't really declare any war. So I remember somebody saying yesterday that, something happened and Nigeria was involved. Nigeria was not involved until July of 1967, even though the new country, so to speak, was declared on May 30th of 1967. That's Biafra. But then the crazy part is that whilst he had declared Biafra to be a separate independent nation, having seceded from Nigeria, so to speak, he then, started invading other spaces. And one of the spaces he invaded, of course, was the Midwest. He was on his way to the West, and of course, much later to other parts of Nigeria. And of course, we read some books yesterday. I'm not going to go through everything we discussed yesterday because so we'll be able to cover more ground today. All right. But if you remember yesterday, we talked about how he actually got into the Midwest. It was because he worked with fellow Igbos in that space. And the reason I keep mentioning that is not because I'm trying to denigrate Igbos. It's to tell you how ethnicity plays a part in just about everything in Nigeria. And that those who tell you that we detribalize actually use ethnicity to their own advantage. And this is what I would say. I don't think there's anything wrong in using ethnicity to your advantage. I just think that it's terrible when you're hypocritical about it, where you try to make yourself like the moral police and make yourself seem better than every other person, saying I'm detribalized, I don't care about tribe, but you're literally using tribes. And you see it in what Azikiwe and then Osadebe did with NTNC and how Osadebe became the premier, the first premier of the Midwest, even when the Igbos were a minority in that place. What happened really was you cannot detach that from ethnic politics. And also the same thing that happened when, number one, when Biafra was about to invade the Midwest, they had to work with the Igbos of the Midwest. And also much later, when they were about to get an administrator for the Midwest, or the Republic of Benin, as they called it, they also made sure it was an Igbo person. We'll get to all of that today. And we mentioned yesterday that when you read the book by Brigadier General Godwin Alabi Sama, the book is called The Tragedy of Victory. One of the things you see there is how easy it was for Biafran troops to penetrate the Midwest. And it wasn't because they were so powerful and all. It was because they had folks in the Midwest who were also Igbos, and they facilitated that smooth invasion, if you like. I'm going to read some of the things. You know what? I have to read some of the things we discussed yesterday so we can have congruence. I'm in a hurry to get into other things, but it's not going to make sense if we don't understand what we're discussing. So, for the benefit of those who were not here yesterday, or even if you were here, and this might also help you, repetition has a way of helping us understand things better. So let's go to the book, The Tragedy of Victory by Brigadier General Godwin Alabi-Sam. I'm going to read from page 57. Also, somebody mentioned something on my YouTube, on the YouTube video, that I should mention pages. So I'll try to mention pages, going forward. And also, let me quickly say this. When people watch the video sometimes and say, oh, can you, write a list? Please, let's not be acting that way. Okay, if somebody puts a video out, mention sources, you listen to it, you didn't write it down, so write a list. So everybody that asks a question, I'll be copying, and every video has different books. So hey, John, now, please, if we're really searching for information, I don't know what else. So every video, I now write a list of books and I add to it. Then I now write the pages. I answered the person today, share with the page, because I felt it was fair because I didn't mention any page. So I had to write the page numbers there. But I think I'll be mentioning those things. But to tell me to now start listening, it is not fair on me, considering the fact that there are so many other things I could be doing with time. So please, we'll mention the books, we'll mention the page, try as much as possible to do the other one. That other part of listening every book. Sometimes one video you have 5 books, another video you have 8 books. Don't worry. When we have assistants, maybe we'll be doing that thing. But thank you very much. If for those people who have been sending, 2 people have sent that message, similar messages. One said I should be screenshotting and putting on TikTok so people can go and read it when they watch the video. I'm like, So please let's just work with me. Meanwhile, we're working on something. We should be able to unveil that thing by weekend, where the books that we mentioned, you will be able to order them if they're available. Not everything is available. The ones who are available, the ones that are available, you'll be able to order them. So we're going to have a TikTok handle. We're trying to create a structure to ensure that it's seamless and doesn't have to require me to be involved. So that's today's Wednesday. So by Friday latest, we should be able to have detailed plan on how you can get some of these books. And that's also one of the reasons we don't share books. The only book I put out there yesterday was a book that I know is out of print. Even me getting it was a blessing. It's a gentleman, a brother, who comes here as well, Prof, who we're talking about something, and he sent me one book like that at Siri Mali. And that's why I put that book out there. That's the one by Neil Graham Douglas. We're going to read it this morning. But generally speaking, I think, this platform could also help us build our libraries and also help the writers, have some form of reward for their work. So by weekend, I'll be able to tell us how you can get it. So latest by Friday, I should be able to say, okay, this number, if you call this number, tell us what you want. They're going to get back to you with the prices, and then you can, get it shipped to you. All right, so that will be on Friday. Ayodeji, they are too lazy. Mentioning that books are enough, and adding a page is a plus. Yes, I'll try to be adding pages going forward, but to be listing in every video, Ejo. If you have to know that I can't even post a video without a description. No. So think about it. You have to write description. Baby, can you work? I don't talk. Continue work. I don't talk. Bass in way. Allah Asha ni gbogbo wa. Ẹ ṣé o. Please, if you're on YouTube, please share the live. On TikTok as well, please do that. Queen, is it possible that you get PDF version from the publisher, or if out of print, do a digital version? If it's out of print, even then, it has to be a very old book before I'll be confident enough to share it. These things can omari back on, but there are hard copies. For ebooks, generally speaking, you're going to probably get those on Amazon. For hard copies, I can assure you, majority of what you're going to find on Amazon, they are more expensive there than if you buy it from. The platform we're creating it should be a bit cheaper than Amazon. Yeah, but the ones that we can share, we will share, but I can assure you that there are many of these books that you can buy. Some of them might be pricey, but it's worth it. All right, let's get back into this. So this is page 57 of The Tragedy of Victory. If I don't remember page, I better just take it like that, because sometimes it's in the fast. More go. All right. One would have thought that the Biafrans had an aim and a plan to achieve it. Let me start from the top. What I did not understand as an army officer was how on earth Biafran troops got to Sapele and Wari. What would they have been looking for there? What tactics or strategy was that? One would have thought that the Biafrans had an aim and a plan to achieve it. To my mind, if I were in the Biafran High Command and Lagos was my objective, what would be my aim? Biafran entry into the Midwest was, to my mind, a military blunder. There were better objectives than Benin and Lagos. What about Benue? The Benue River would have given Biafra a very good line of defense to the north. The Biafrans depended on the Midwest Igbo officers, who in the end were not helpful to their cause. A trader is always a trader, and what you compromise to get, in the end, you lose. Some of the Midwest senior officers that sold out and went to join Biafra were Lieutenant Colonels Conrad Wanwo, Okwechime, Ben Waje, Igboba, Ochie, and the worst of them all, Captain Joe Isiche. All these officers had appointments in Biafra. Some even commanded Biafran troops in battle. These officers had their parents and families at Asaba and their hometowns in the Midwest, but they were fighting for Biafra across the Niger, where most of them were later relieved of their duties in Biafra as saboteurs, including Ben Waje at the Owerri front. The man called Achuzia, a civilian Midwesterner, fought for Biafra, as did Lieutenant Colonel Mora, who became the paymaster in Biafra. How could Biafra have won such a war? As soon as the firing was too heavy to bear, they thought of Mama and Papa back in the peaceful Midwest. Then they ran away. Most were losers. Let us for once imagine that Biafra became a reality. What part of Biafra would they have belonged to? What would have happened to their children in future? All right. So that's how they got in. So moving away from this, let's go to the document we read yesterday by Uyilawa Oswanlele. This one is called Midwest States and Minorities Response to Biafran Occupation and Liberation. So already talked about how they got in. For instance, they mentioned that the Biafran invasion of the Midwest was also regarded as an Igbo affair. As a result, many more Igbo were sent to the Midwest by the Biafran government. One instance of this was the appointment of senior Eastern Igbo civil servants into the Midwest public service without due process on orders from Biafran authorities in Enugu. Other Igbos on their own moved into the Midwest to seek their fortune. This made the local non-Igbo people perceive the Igbo as bent on domination and oppression of the people of the Midwest. This is a narrative that you find in just about every single book, whether it's written from the Eastern perspective or from the Northern perspective or from whatever perspective. This statement about Igbo domination is in Go 1, The Biography of a Soldier Statesman. Book is written by J. Isawa Elaigu. It's in the speech by Nauro at Addis Ababa of August 12, 1968. You find it in the book that we shared yesterday, Ojuku's Rebellion and World Opinion by Nebo Graham Douglas. It's something that everybody talked about because it wasn't just an academic or a theory like a lot of people would want to think it is. To them, it was real. They saw it play out, right? They saw a people who had no reason being in their space, enter their space, take over the place, and then move people from their region to become Oga in the Midwest without any due process. Like I've said, if anybody in Nigeria has learned nepotism, they learned it from the East, sincerely. If you understand what happened in the 50s and the 60s, they learned it in the East. And I hope that, saying these things also help people understand why people act toward the East the way they do. you may think people hate. It's not irrational.
They're not just being,
The pushback is not irrational. They're not just being, irrational or unthinking people. They are doing something as a reaction to something that has happened to them before. You cannot invalidate that by saying, you are a bigot, you are a hater. There is a reason for, it's a cause and effect kind of thing. For every cause, there is equal and opposite effect. Is that what they say it? Is this Newton's law of motion? Physics students, help us in the comment section. Now let's get back to this. So yesterday we talked about how, of course, they got into the space, how they looted the Midwest, how people were killed by Biafran soldiers in the Midwest. And when we say Midwest, it's what the present day Delta State and Edo State used to be. So it was Midwest, it became Bendel, and now you have Edo State and Delta State. So those places were not part of Eastern Nigeria. And even the Eastern Nigeria itself was already broken into three by the time Ojukwu declared Biafra on May 30th, 1967. So what you see essentially is a person who not only wanted to take over spaces around him that were not ethnically his or ancestrally his or his people's, but also wanted to go out of that region into other people's region, like the Midwest, and what happened there. In every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. Newton's law. Oshiwa, thank you for confirming. Let me also feel like a physicist. But thank you very much. I appreciate that definition in the comment section. All right, let's continue. So we talked yesterday about how they got in there, what they did in Ubiaja, in Hauchi, in Ugeli, in Wari, in Sapele, in Benin, how people, were treated. For instance, we read about what happened at Osiomo. Osiomo had a leper settlement with about 1,200 residents. So let me read that, as we continue with the conversation. Excuse me. It says the leper settlement in Osiomo had about 1,200 residents before the war. Divided by the Osiomo River, the Igbos lived on the east bank and Benis, Yorubas, and others on the west bank. When Biafrans invaded in August, they swept through the Igbo side and, crossing the river to the west side, killed all the Benis and Yorubas that they could find. 6 weeks later, the Federals came from the other direction, set up their artillery on the Benin side, and shelled the Igbo side, after which they crossed the river and killed any Igbos remaining. And while I was reading this, what came to my mind was, could this be one of the reasons Murtala Mohammed just went haywire when he got to the Midwest? Apart from the fact that something already happened in 66 January, and it was already waiting to actually invade the East anyway. So a lot of people talked about this thing. So it says virtually all the newspapers, including Nnamdi Azikiwe's West African Pilot, reported fighting in some towns in the Midwest during the invasion. 250 policemen of Eastern Nigerian origin were already deployed to Biafra, and so we can say it's safe to assume that majority of those killed were non-Igbo officers.
Roy.
1 second.
Roy.
Sorry, guys.
Push to the other side. Press it. Hold on. Sorry, 1 minute. Kilo tele. Zip log. Sorry about that. So he says the number of deaths from this.
Sorry about that. So he says the number of deaths from this first day of invasion and occupation is not known. The major victims of this fight were officers of the police force, which was reported to have lost many men during the occupation. Since the over 250 policemen of Eastern Nigerian origin in the Midwest were redeployed to Biafra in May 1967, it is safe to assume that the majority of those killed were non-Igbo officers. So Biafran soldiers were killing non-Igbo policemen and people. Please, let's power tap on TikTok. Let's share the live on YouTube. Wherever you are, please share the live. Let's get this thing out there. And please, if you're on TikTok, please click on the heart icon beside the name Busuri Oris. Join the team. Drop a heart me. It's just one, coin, but then it goes a long way in pushing this to the FYP. So please, let's do this together, right? Where were we? I just want to share this thing. I want to share. I don't know if I've shared it already. I just want to be sure that I've shared it myself, so that while I'm preaching, share. Me no be like say even myself I no share. Okay, that's good. The entry of Biafran troops into Midwestern towns and villages was characterized by search for and torture and killings of suspected northern Nigerians, conscription of soldiers, and the seizure. Oh yes, sorry guys, sorry. I need to do something right now. That's it. I learned something yesterday. Let me quickly do it. Please kindly help validate the theory that the Igbos have a hand in Dimkaku. I should validate the theory, or or we should research and see if they did. If you have a goal in mind before research, it's possible that whatever you see, that goal must be validated, so to speak. That theory must be validated. Let's not do it that way. Let's research to see if they were part of it. That would be the fair thing to do. Abi, I think it should be fair that way. Sam Onyekwere, good evening, sir. I think you're the one who spoke yesterday that you were around in 1960 something. Evening, sir. What ethnicity am I? I am Yoruba. I am Yoruba. Omokaro Jire. Yes, so I will do that, my brother. Will do that. Can't even pay an agenda. So what I did now, somebody did something very good yesterday. Is a gentleman I've known for a while. He went on the YouTube live and shared it on his Twitter. So I just remembered right now, so I decided to do it as well. So if you, in case you can, please feel free to do the same. Kindly share the live to people out there. Good afternoon, Prince. Ẹkáàbọ. So let's go back to the material. The entry of Biafran troops into Midwestern towns and villages was characterized by search for and torture and killings of suspected northern Nigerians, conscription of soldiers, and the seizure and looting of food, livestock, vehicles, machinery, money, and any item that caught their fancy, as well as raping of women. Eyewitness accounts and newspapers reported that the Biafrans targeted the Hausa quarters of most towns. Igbo residents pointed out the residents of northern Nigerians in addition to searching the houses of Midwestern as suspected of hiding northern Nigerians. In Benin City, many resident northern Nigerians were loaded into trucks and taken out of the city by the Biafran soldiers, and it is not clear what happened to them. Some personal accounts provide clues as to the fate of these residents. 65-year-old Labo Shokoto, a northern Nigerian, claimed that he was shot in the chest and dumped in the bush, but helped by local people to later escape to the north. The Northern Nigeria government newspaper, New Nigeria, reported various atrocities allegedly committed against northern Nigerians in the Midwest. Some Ẹkáàbọ people confirmed that they helped to hide and protect non-Igbos, which included northern Nigerians, from being killed by Biafran soldiers. The atrocities also extended to all non-Igbo groups who showed signs of hostility from the moment of occupation. So we read some of these things yesterday. I'm just doing like a recap before we go into what we're discussing today. Oyewole, who we talked about yesterday, Lieutenant Colonel Fola Oyewole, who led one of the columns of invading Biafran soldiers, corroborated newspaper reports on how the Biafran army treated properties in the Midwest. And this is what he had to say. Troops of the Liberation Army did not behave in a manner likely to improve their relationship with the people of the areas they occupied. The worst hit towns were Warri, Benin, and Sapele. Men of 18th Battalion based in Warri were notorious, looting anything that could turn into cash. Abandoned commercial houses were indiscriminately broken into and emptied by looters. Nothing was considered too big to be removed. Vehicles, bags of salt, and provisions of all sorts were favored commodities. Some of the things were either sold on the spot at giveaway prices or sent to Biafra to be sold later. It was not difficult to find ready markets in the Midwest, with thousands of Biafrans streaming into the liberated state to do business. It was not an uncommon occurrence to see a soldier in Warri dash another one the sum of 50 or even 100 pounds. Most of the beneficiaries were those who visited either from Biafra or some other operational areas within the Midwest where there were no opportunity for looting. Okay, so we talked about all of that, talked about molestations, killings. For instance, it says, though Oyewole did not report the killings by Biafrans, he noted that indiscriminate shooting at the slightest provocation. For instance, in the case of a person who said his 39-year-old father, Mr. Ebude, was dragged out of his vehicle in Ugo by Biafran soldiers and killed. Another man, James Hakwenino, who was a teenager during the occupation, says outright molestation, harassment, and killings of non-Igbo civilians became a common feature on a daily basis. In fact, the Biafran occupation was a nightmare of brutal excesses from Biafran soldiers on non-Igbo speaking indigenous people of the state. At night, suspected saboteurs were fished out of their homes, arrested, and oftentimes summarily executed. Please remember what we just read here. This happened in the Midwest. We're going to read something similar in Rivers State in the book by Elechi Amadi. We also see it in the work of Neil Graham Douglas. All right, so senior non-Igbo civil servants such as the Mokwede, secretary to the government, Joseph Adeola, the commissioner of police, Olu Akpata, a permanent secretary, and Samuel Nweni, engineer at Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, were arrested, taken to Biafra, and detained till the end of the war. And of course, the invasion of the Midwest was regarded as an Igbo affair. So, what book am I reading all this from? It's Midwest States Non-Igbo Minorities Responses to Biafran Occupation and the Liberation by Nigerian Forces. This was by, I hope, that thing is long. Just so it's Midwest States Non-Igbo Minorities Responses by Uyilawa Oswanlele. And then he talked about how at some point the group that came also divided into two. We had the Enugu clique. So you have those ones who were very loyal to Biafra, and you have those who were still trying, to, especially those who were in the Midwest, who were not part of the East, who were trying to still be humane to the people of the land. I think one of the craziest things for me was how, I've mentioned it already, how they brought in civil servants from Enugu to work in the Midwest and to become the Oga during the war. And that's what you called liberation. Meanwhile, talking of liberation, let me read something. Umbo. This is challenge of hard copies. 1 second, please. Okay, there's something I mentioned yesterday. I think it's important to also repeat it before we get into this other stuff. Just give me 1 second. So I want to read from the book by Nia Borishade. It's called Colonel Victor Banjo, A Revolutionary Betrayed. So let me quickly find the page. Before we get into all that, let me just read something from there, because we're talking about the bank and all of those things. It's important to let you know that the person at the head of the brigade that went into that army unit was actually a Yoruba man. In fact, there were two. It was Victor Banjo and Fola Oyewole. And Fola Oyewole was the one who was reporting the things we read earlier. But it's also important to mention that one of the reasons, according to this book, why Ojukwu had a problem with Victor Banjo was his decision not to do the things that he was told to do, especially as it had to do with looting the Central Bank of Nigeria in Benin. So let me read that in your hearing. It says here, whereas when Banjo captured Benin, he treated the bank as a sacred institution and did not allow his troops or anyone to touch the place. There was heavy pressure from Ojukwu asking Banjo to break into the bank and loot it, but Banjo refused to become a dishonorable person. His discipline on the issue of money stands to his credit today. One of the reasons why Ojukwu earmarked him for death was that he refused his order to loot the Central Bank of Benin and bring the money to Biafra. It was a big lie for anyone to suggest that Banjo took money from the federal side to sabotage Biafra, or that he allowed the federal side to take the Midwest. A man who had the whole Central Bank of Benin under him and did not take a dime from it certainly could not be bought by anyone. Major Wale Ademoyiga testified to the integrity of Banjo. He recalled that when Banjo entered the Midwest, he had with him the sum of £5,000, and when he was recalled by Ojukwu to Enugu, he handed the remaining balance of £4,500 to him for the continuation of the war. This indeed showed that Banjo had no intention of supplanting Ojukwu at all. Otherwise, he would have kept the money for the next operation, and he would have recruited Ademoyiga, a fellow Yoruba man, and his assistants to execute the plan with him. So I want to spend some time to just talk about how Banjo moved in all of this. By the way, this man asked a question, Alabi Sama, like what were they thinking when they went to the Midwest? I want to read to you what Ojukwu was thinking when they went to the Midwest. And where do we find it? We find it in the book by Chinua Achebe. The book is called There Was a Country. So he says here, the Biafran response became an advance, leading... Well, let me go back just a little. The Nigeria-Biafra war began soon after Emeka Ojukwu's proclamation of secession. Gowon decided to first use the Federal Army's first command in what he termed a police action, in an attempt to, quote-unquote, restore federal government authority in Lagos and the breakaway eastern region. The move to capture the Biafran border towns of Ogoja and Nsukka proved to be a declaration of war again. This is Chinua Achebe. We know that is on Biafran side. Following this, in July 1967, Nigerian troops attempted to cross the Niger Bridge into Biafra. The Biafran army was able to halt its advance and disperse them. We'll come back to that. That Biafran response became an advance, leading to the taking of a large swath of the Midwestern region in a surprise maneuver that the Nigerian federal troops had not anticipated. This is where I'm going. Ojukwu explained his ambitious plan this way. Our motive was not territorial ambition, it's a lie. Mr. Sam, I'm going to respond to you later, but the coup was an Igbo coup. Say I'm sorry guys, both of your parents were Igbo military officers at 44 Battalion and had no idea prior to the coup d'etat, just like other officers from all ethnic groups. Okay, we've had a session here why I keep calling it an Igbo coup. It's not because all the Igbo officers knew or not. So maybe we'll get to that later, but I promise I'm going to speak on it later. Thank you very much. All right, so this is Ojukwu talking because he thinks he's talking to clowns. Why do people talk like the people listening to them are stupid? Anyway, let me read what he says, or what he said. Our motive was not territorial ambition or the desire of conquest. We went into the Midwest, later declared the Republic of Benin, purely in an effort to seize the serpent by the head. Every other activity in that republic was subordinated to that single aim. We were going to Lagos to seize the villa go on, and we took necessary military precautions. This is rubbish. This doesn't even make sense. It's not about going to take Gowon. You know why? Because if it was about going to take Gowon, why did you stay in the Midwest? Why did you liberate the Midwest? I don't even know the definition of liberation concept, but why did you declare it to be an independent territory? Why did you appoint the administrator of that space that you're not planning to conquer or you don't have territorial ambition? Why did you move people from the east to work in the Midwest? in the midst of all of this if you had no territorial ambition? And this is why I say I don't mind reading books from the South. I'm even expecting like 3 this weekend. I don't mind reading books from the South, but I think for the most part, they don't rate the readers. And it's an insult to me. Like, I'm reading your book and I feel like you think I'm stupid. Like, just like, okay, what exactly do you think you're doing here? You are saying here, by the way, this is written by a very respected person, Ochino Achebe. You're saying you're not trying to conquer anywhere. It's not territorial ambition, but you they enter places. No, I'm not going to read. I'm going to get to reading. I'll read Banjo's own take later. I'll read 2 things. Let me read Banjo's speech, and then I'll read the how the person that was chosen to be Oga, how I was chosen. To be fair, I mean, with all due respect to Ojukwu, he lied a lot. He lied a lot, and I have loads of his speeches. You find, by the way, let me just tell you a book. You find a lot of Ojukwu's speeches. Crisis and Conflict in Nigeria, Volume 2. You find a lot of his speeches in there. The man was just revising, boy. He was revising his stuff about every day. But let me read to you what. This thing is long. If you can get the book, There Was a Country, you will see this is an appendix. Brigadier Banjo's broadcast to the Midwest is also in this book. If you need any of these books, please let me know by Friday. Just write it down. On Friday, we'll tell you how you can get them. So it says here, fellow Nigerians and Biafrans, I am sure I do not need to introduce myself either to you nor perhaps to many people outside our country. You know what? I don't trust the source for that particular thing. 1 second. I'm not going to read nonsense. Let me read. It's in this book. Fellow Nigerians and Biafrans, I am sure, by the way, this was on 14th August 1967. It's very long, so I'm just going to read a part of it and then we'll move on. Fellow Nigerians and Biafrans, I am sure I do not need to introduce myself to you nor perhaps to many people outside the country. You have already had ample opportunity to hear my name in January 1966 when this political crisis started in our country. Unfortunately, at that time, I also heard about the circumstances under which my name was being publicized at a time when I was in no position to do anything about it. I was then accused of attempting the life of the late Supreme Commander, Major General J.T. Aguiyi-Ironsi, and for the attempt, I was arrested and detained. I'm not going to go through all of this. We talked about it yesterday already, how he was arrested because he had a gun in his holster, and then eventually was detained in Kirikiri, and later he was sent to the east. This thing is long. Well, what I want to bring out of this thing really is actually how they got to appoint the military governor of the region. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to open it here. It's page 109 of this book. Okay. The chapter is chapter 9, Disagreement between Ojukwu and Banjo. There were serious issues between Ojukwu and Banjo as to who should be named governor. Banjo was supposed to choose the governor of Midwest, but Ojukwu rejected that idea completely. Remember what Chino Achebe said. 1 second, I want to open it. It's good to have. So when you hear me say some books are just a waste of time, may not be like say I can't you know. So listen to what Ojukwu said according to Achebe. Thank you so much, Yetunde. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So listen to what Achebe said. Ojukwu said. Ojukwu explained his ambitious plan this way. Our motive was not territorial ambition or the desire of conquest. We went into the Midwest, later declared the Republic of Benin, purely in an effort to seize the serpent by the head. Every other activity in that republic was subordinated to that single aim, including maiming people and raping and killing them. We were going to Lagos to seize the villa in Gowon, and we took necessary military precautions. And let me read. Despite the euphoric verbal heroics espoused by Ojukwu, John de St. John, in his book, the book is called The Nigerian Civil War. If we have time, we'll go to that book also. This is what John de St. John wrote. By the way, John de St. John was a reporter for The Observer. And he says here, the Biafran stormed through the Midwest, not in the usual massive impedimental of modern warfare, but in a bizarre collection of private cars, mammy wagons, cattle, and vegetable trucks. The command vehicle was a Peugeot 404 estate car. The whole operation was not carried out by an army or even a brigade, but at most 1,000 men, the majority poorly trained and armed, and many wearing civilian clothes because they had not been issued with uniforms. I'm going to move to this book now. There were serious issues between Ojukwu and Banjo as to who should be named governor. Banjo was supposed to, I'm trying to establish something. The idea that, say, the guy is trying to, they don't have any plan to do anything in the Midwest. They're just going to Lagos. So you judge it for yourself if they were just going to Lagos or if they actually had plans for that space. There were serious issues between Ojukwu and Banjo as to who should be named governor. Banjo was supposed to choose the governor of Midwest, but Ojukwu rejected that idea completely. Ojukwu had been advised by his senior Igbo officers to take power out of Banjo's hands. After all, the soldiers and ammunition were from Biafra. On realizing the dangerous situation, Banjo kept his cool and advised Ojukwu that they should pick the governor amongst the non-Igbo Midwesterners and not Colonel Nwanwo, an Igbo officer that Ojukwu had in mind. Who is Colonel Nwanwo? Is the one that both Oyilawa and Godwin Labi-Sama have described as essentially a traitor who worked for Biafra, although he was in the Midwest. He's Igbo, by the way, and it was Ojukwu's original choice. So Banjo says, don't choose him. Instead, he suggested it should be either Lieutenant Colonel David Ejo or Samuel Ogbemudia or even Colonel Chimnell, who were non-Igbo Midwesterners. However, Ojukwu demurred as he preferred an Igbo officer to be the governor. However, Ojukwu later changed his mind and proceeded to declare Albert Okonkwo, an Igbo Midwesterner, as the governor of Midwest or Republic of Benin, as Ojukwu preferred to name it. Ojukwu did not recognize Banjo as a partner anymore. The success of Banjo was seen by him as his wisdom and that he had just used Banjo to achieve his aims. That's what happens to you if you are just fighting the battle. Okonkwo's name as governor was announced on 17th August 1967. Ojukwu was quick to declare the Midwest Republic of Benin, and so on the face of it, it should be taken that the entire Midwest would not be part of Biafra, as that was the original plan between him and Banjo. But this was just a decoy from Ojukwu, as he had it in mind to merge the Midwest with Biafra at a later date. When you read Achebe's book, do you get this kind of idea? The answer is no. Why? Because Achebe had an agenda. Achebe literally worked for Biafra. And this is why I say, I don't know what they thought they were doing, destroying people's minds with half-truths and full-blown lies, and just saying things that young people now believe and everybody thinks somebody hates you. You were literally going into people's territories and naming their kings or naming their governors and ensuring that the person who became governor was from your own ethnic group in that region. Even when, just like it happened in 1963, you are still the minority. We're going to come back to what happened at Ore, on the way to Ore. So, you need to read Nelson Ota's dated book on the trial of Banjo and Co. Okay. What's that of the book? Oh boy. How do they have so much power then, host? It's military now. Let me even write the name of the author. It could also Nelson Ota. So two things. How do they have power? That is very simple. When how did Osadebe become premier? Through NCNC. So you have to remember that when the old agitation for we want Midwest, when it started, it was 1952, right? There was a meeting that held, this is not today's topic, but I just want to mention it. There was just answer your question very briefly. A meeting held in Ibadan, right? And there were 27 representatives from the Midwest. That's from the Delta province and, the Benin area. There were 27. 6 of them were in Action Group. 21 of them were in NCNC. So NCNC already owned much of the seats, or most of the seats in parliament in the Midwest, right? Now that they wanted to have their own space, because of course about Benin, something happened. And what happened, to be honest, you think about it and you're like, is this all that happened really? But it's in the Willings Commission report of 1958. And, well, it's not in that book, it's in another book. Oh. Let me tell you what happened. 1952, it was in Ibadan. Governor Macaulay was seated, Lieutenant Governor at the time was seated. Delake was giving a speech. And then he said, and I quote, "On my right is the Ooni of Ife. On my left is the leader of government business. The voice of the West is complete." That was all he said. And that was where the wahala started. That's why I said majority of what you see coming from that side is mostly on inferiority complex. Say, oh, it's not. He just said that king, only one king, and then Awolowo, like it's Yoruba. The question is, who was the leader of government business? Was it not Awo? Anyway, people like Osage, the lot of them started writing all kinds of things. Sorry guys, I have to write this down. Thank you very much for, let me just type it. Somebody's recommending a book. Thank you. I'll look for it later, but let me type it here. The Trial of Biafra's Leaders. It's amazing how many books have been written on these things that we don't even know. I'll see if I can find I'll look for it later. But thank you for this. I really appreciate it. I'll check it later. Anyway, so they said they wanted to have their own region. Oba of Benin now started working with NCNC because NCNC already had the majority in the region. Like I said, they had 21 of the 27 seats. So in the Western region, it was Action Group, right? But in those provinces, what we had was, Action Group only had 7 representatives from that space. The vast majority of those people were NCNC. But even then, Action Group was still doing what they're supposed to do in those areas. But you see, they didn't know what they had. So everybody was fighting for something. And in the beginning, Action Group was alerting the minorities to the possible dominance of Benin. But before everything was, concluded, they changed their mind and said, listen, Benin is not even who you should be afraid of right now. Because Benin was the big one. Of course, they were Adesako and Ishan to become very big. So there were over 600,000 people at the time, compared to the Igbos who were less than half of that number. And so they were like, watch out for these guys. So later on, they were like, you guys should actually watch out for the minority Igbos, because we're going to use the NCNC platform to actually get what they wanted. So to answer your question, the way they got it in 63 was to use NCNC. The way they got it in 67 was to use the guns, the barrel of guns. So if the military administrator or the military head of Biafra says to you, it is about Okonkwo, who are you to say no? They might just get you out of the way. So that's how Okonkwo became. For a Ojukwu who had no plan, no territorial ambition, no plan to occupy anywhere, no plan to conquer any place, to now be the one appointing somebody to become the governor and to ensure that that person was from his ethnic group, it tells you that, now lie, these people, they lie. With all due respect to the dead, but the dead lied. Where were we? Because where was about Benin during invasion? It was in his palace. It was in his palace. The Biafran invasion and occupation of the Midwest immediately changed the relations between the federal military government and Biafra, from police action to declaration of total war on Biafra. Now, listen, if you listen to the words that, and if you notice the choice of words that Achebe used, he made it seem like it was police action. It became a war. You know, may not be like I said it. Like, 1 second, let me just read it. This is how you catch liars. Where is that? Okay, let me read to you how Achebe described it. He says, Gowon decided to first use, sorry, then to take from the top. The Nigeria-Biafra war began soon after Emeka Ojukwu's proclamation of secession. Gowon decided to first use the Federal Army's first command in what he termed a police action, in an attempt to restore the federal government authority in Lagos and the breakaway eastern region. The move to capture the Biafran border towns of Ogoja and Nsukka proved to be a declaration of war. Following this, in July 1967, Nigerian troops attempted to cross the Niger Bridge into Biafra. So what you see essentially is the fact that it's making it sound as if the war had already started. You could call it a war from Biafra, but generally speaking, from Nigeria's perspective, nobody say we fight like that, and that's why he keeps saying that Gowon was just too good for that era. Another person that just bombed everywhere and destroyed everybody. Then everybody will sit down and will talk. All this just doing church of God, you know, church mind. Or a normal day, I had to bomb everybody down. So let's go back to the book. So that's how he painted it. Oh, there was a war. They tried to enter Ogoja, they tried to enter Nsukka, and then they tried to enter River Niger, and then we pushed them back, and then we now went to conquer that place. It's a lie. At that point, the federal government had not even entered the Midwest. The federal forces had not even entered the Midwest. That came after Biafran invasion. Because the question is, it's not like they had anything. There was no need to fight. It wasn't like the soldiers were mobilized to, you know, start fighting them. All I'm trying to say is that Russia has a quadrilateral side by. Let's go back to the book now. It says the Biafran invasion. This is the book by Uyilawa, who is from the Midwest, by the way, Benin man. The Biafran invasion and occupation of the Midwest immediately changed the relations between the federal military government and Biafra, from police action to declaration of total war on Biafra. The federal government deployed the army, navy, and air force to push back the Biafran army that had crossed the Midwest states into Ore and Okene in western and Kwara states. By 19th August, the federal army entered the Midwest from the north with the capture of Ososo, followed by strings of successes in capturing more towns in subsequent days. They were aided by guerrilla activities, clandestine intelligence work, and sabotaging of Biafran soldiers and administrations by non-Igbo volunteers. The Federal Air Force bombing of Benin Airport on 30th August, combined with the successes of the naval attacks from the sea, emboldened the local people to riot and attack Biafrans in Warri. In spite of the deteriorating relations with the non-Igbo people, the Biafran appointed administration further alienated Midwesterners by signing a cooperation agreement with Biafra. This is supposed to be a Republic of Benin. The Biafra appointed administration further alienated Midwesterners by signing a cooperation agreement with Biafra on economic, finance, and related matters, which included the use and acceptance of Biafran currency. Where? Is it in Biafra? No, it's in Nigeria, it's in the Midwest. So it included the use and acceptance of Biafran currency and free movement between the Midwest and Biafra. In addition, corporations and industries in the Midwest were required to remit their revenue to Enugu. Mr. Sam, on YouTube, I agree with you. It is not the knowledge of the events that makes it an Igbo coup or not an Igbo coup. It's the planning and the execution. Okay. You sometimes conveniently pick sources that affirm your bias, but you know what? Let me just block this one. This one is just a clown. When you started coming, I thought you were a regular person that. Oh, is there any moderator here that can block this clown for me, I beg? I don't know how God did it. I don't care. Sometimes, what do you mean sometimes? I literally just read what Tino Achebe said, and I'm reading what another person is saying, and you're saying sometimes I'm using one book. Am I the one who wrote Achebe's books for him? Did I write Frederick Forsyth's book for him? Did I say they should lie? See, my brother, I don't mind you being here. I like you being here, but please, like, there's some things people just say that just triggers. Like, guess what? I want to promise you something. If you have other sources, send requests. I'll bring you up. Now, you guys watch. There's no other source. Forever remain silent. Let's go on. This man is asking them to be spent. You know what? Let me spend some time on this Biafran currency. Let me read some crazy thing about how they did all this Biafran currency. What's not this man? No. There is an interview with the man in charge of the Central Bank of Biafra. I want to see if I can find it. It also shows you again how people think that Nigerians are stupid when they said Nigeria should have given all the money back. Yesterday, thank you. His name is Sylvester Ogo. I'm going to read you an interview where he talked about how he ran the Central Bank of Biafra. You guys will be shocked. This is the Kini that said they should have called all the money from all the money from Nigeria should have gone back to him. This is not is it this one? I'm coming, guys. Just give me a second. There were two people on the board of, let me just start telling you as I look for the source. I know it offhand, but I think it's better if I read these things. There were two people on the board of that wonderful central bank. Two people. One was this man, Sylvester. He was one in charge of everything, printing everything. The second one was a lecturer at Nsuka who was at the war front, but there were the two people on the board of central bank. What's backing the currency? Nothing. Just vibes. Just vibes. And people say, why did Nigeria not, give them the money? So when the war was over, they brought the worthless notes and said, okay, change it to Naira. And then Nigeria said no. That's one of the reasons people hate our war. Maybe towards the end, we're going to talk about it again. But it doesn't really matter that they hate our war for that. You just bankrupt the entire country. So you can print $1 billion whatever of that note, and then you bring it out, which is one of the reasons, Ojukwu was talking about one of the things that, essentially defeated him. And one of those things was actually the change of currency. It's just that one of the things I see with Ojukwu is that once he knows that you have defeated him, he will now cook up one lie and sell it to his people. The crazy thing is that his people believe the lies. They will forget about what really happened. I'll find this thing later, but that's the summary of what I wanted to say. But it's sweeter if I read it. Let me read part of this one. This is an interview in the Vanguard. The man's name is Sylvester Ugo. He was the governor of the Central Bank of Biafra. He says, what was your relationship with the Biafra head of state, Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu? He says, there was nothing much. He just handed over the bank to me and asked me to take care of it so that he would not have to worry himself about what was happening in that field. Even when I asked him to appoint some other members of the board to help me run the place, he said he had not complained about my running it alone. that I should go ahead, that he didn't have any more people to give me, that everybody else was busy. He had complete confidence in me and allowed me to run the bank as I would because he felt I was doing the right thing. Only on a few occasions would he send for me if he needed some information. Otherwise, he left me to run the bank without any interference. How many people were on the board of the Central Bank of Biafra? That's the question. Here's the answer. There were only 2 of us. Even then, the other person was on the war front. So I was one-man board. I was a one-man board, in fact. Who was the other person? Answer. The late William Uzuaga, who was a professor of business administration, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He was in the military intelligence, so I never saw him. What was the basis of that currency? Nothing. May God have mercy on Ojukwu. Nobody should do this to their own people. I see them on Twitter. They carry the currency. Oh. You're having nostalgia for a past that did not even exist. Oh, they recognize this currency all over the place. Where? You will not be able to see. Once you ask where, you become a bigot. I'll talk about it more when we get to the things that happened with starvation and stuff during the war, which of course terrible event, but we'll answer some of those questions with Papa's interview that he granted in 1983. So let's go back to the book by Uyilawa. So they were telling him that, see, this money that only one person is on the board of the central bank, and we don't even have any basis for the value of this currency. We're going to be sharing it between Biafra and the Midwest, or Republic of Benin. Republic of Benin is not under Biafra. You're on your own, no. But guess what? Whenever you make any money in this region, you must send it to Enugu. You must send that money to Enugu. But you're not under us. And then when you want to choose your leader, we will be the one to choose your leader. But you're not really under us. You are independent. And then this Nigerian pound you're using, you will not be using it again. You'll be using Biafran pound. But guess what? You're not under us. You are actually independent. I hope you do believe all of that, Sha. He says here, in spite of the deteriorating relations with the non-Igbo people, the Biafra appointed administration further alienated Midwesterners by signing a cooperation agreement with Biafra on economic, finance, and related matters, which included the use and acceptance of Biafran currency and free movement between the Midwest and Biafra. Maiwa, Gabon recognized the country. Is it even Gabon? They went to Gabon, they went to Tanzania, I think Zambia as well, to recognize the country, not to spend the money. He's lying. I see in the comment section, say some countries use them. They did nobody use their money. The money had no basis. Like, okay, what's the incentive for using Biafran currency? Okay, exchange rate. How do I know the value of your money? What's it pegged to? Or was it pegged against? It is true that some African countries, about 3 of them, recognize Biafra as a nation. But this thing that they are stretching to say, oh, we spent money and we're sharing Biafran currency in international trade, is a lie. It's a lie. And thank you, Prof, for corroborating that in the comment section. Nobody used it among. Guess what? Even during the war, you know what? Give me a second. Let me read something to you. Even during the war, there were people in Biafra who did not drop their own money. Mumbo. I'm going to read something to you from. This is from CNN, by the way. People were keeping their money because at the time they said should bring your naira or your Nigerian pound at the time, and then they'll give you Biafran pound. Let me quickly address this, although we're not there yet, but let me just quickly address it. When people say things like, all the money my father had, the federal government said no. They didn't give us the value of our money. It makes no sense. You have Nigerian pound, right? Let's say you have 100 pounds, right? You go to a country, that country says, oh, give us your money, we'll give you a piece of paper. So you give them 100 Nigerian pounds, they give you 100 Biafran pounds. That's on you. The person that collected your money knows that internationally he can use your money. He can do whatever he wants to do. I'm going to read this. It's not going to be like just a talk. I'll go read something for you from one of the people who decided not to drop our own naira or our own Nigerian pound. I mean, the person who collected the Nigerian pound knows that he is able to spend that money abroad for international trade. As a matter of fact, that is the reason. That's the only reason Ojukwu looted those 3 banks. Biafran forces looted Central Bank in Benin, Central Bank of Nigeria, Benin, Central Bank of Nigeria in Port Harcourt, Central Bank of Nigeria in Calabar. Why? In order to use the money to buy arms and ammunition. That was why. My question to you is this. Whenever they come to you with all this Biafran currency was spent abroad, ask them why they did not use Biafran currency to buy the guns and ammunition.
Why did they not get...
Why? Why did they not get... Since you can print... Now just to print money now. Don't print the money, get CBN. Why you not just go somewhere, go buy what you want to buy? I may stand up at the point. Did Ojukwu wrong with Biafran pound? Biafran pound meant nothing. There's nothing it's going to do with, guys. This thing is beeping. I promise you I won't forget where I stopped. Just give me 30 seconds. I need to switch the power source. I don't want this thing to go off, right? Please hold on for a second. Thanks.
All right, thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. I used to think that Ojukwu was for people, meant well for his people.
Thank you for staying tuned. I used to think that Ojukwu was pro people, meant well for his people. Not for a second. Ojukwu is people. See, if people knew, there's a video on YouTube. I'll see if I can, maybe I'll play it one of these days, of Igbo elders speaking about him. Is these younger ones are shouting Guru all over the place? And by the way, all due respect to anybody, do whatever you like. But those who were there knew exactly what he did. But if you focus on propaganda more than history, you will worship you will worship your, what's the word I'm looking for? You would worship your oppressor. And you would hate your liberators. It's funny how life works, isn't it? Those who love you, those who helped you, you're going to hate on them, but those who actually try to destroy you, you celebrate them because you don't know any better. So I was saying that people collected, they took the Nigerian pound, right? Took it to Biafra, gave it to the man. He took that money, cut pieces of paper for them, wrote something on it, and gave it to them, right? They took that as the medium of exchange within Biafra. He took the Nigerian pound to buy whatever I wanted to buy to prosecute his war. The war was over. You now brought the piece of paper to Nigeria and told Nigeria, and you now tell Nigeria that, okay, see guys, when I went to Biafra, I had 1,000 pounds. I gave my 1,000 Nigerian pounds to Biafran government, and they gave me 1,000 Biafran pounds. I have come back to you, Nigeria. No be me collect money from me the first time. Oh. I have come back to you, Nigeria, with my 1,000 pounds. Yeah, give me 1,000 Nigerian pounds. You have to be a very dumb person to collect that money and give. You would bankrupt the entire nation. That's why Papa changed it. By the way, by the time he was looting the banks, Papa, they changed the currency sharp. So it became worthless to him. We'll read it when we get there. But let me just read something to you from this is a CNN report of 2020. There's a woman called Evelyn. I'm coming. Evelyn Okororie. Right? Evelyn Okororie. Let's go to the part where she talks about money. Sorry, this thing is long. Returned from Midwest 2 months before the end of the brutal Nigerian Biafra war. Sorry, there's a part where she talked about trading. By the way, what I just said right now, you'll find it, you can look for this online. What's it called? Chiobafemi Awolowo interview, 1983. You mentioned some of those things there. I have the page. I think her name is Rose. Is it Rose or Evelyn? Guys, I'm sorry. It's just that sometime I found it. God is good. It's Evelyn. Some women on the trail were raped and killed by soldiers, while others died in bombing raids. It was during one of Okorere's trip to the market that her brother's house was bombed. Okorere said she sold food and other household items during the war in exchange for Nigerian pounds, which she then used to buy cigarettes, potash, salt, and marijuana, since Biafran currency was not recognized beyond its borders. Whoever, that thing that you said Nnamdi Kanu said is a lie. This woman was there. I'll read it again, what she said. Her name is Evelyn Okororie. She's in her 80s, as of 2020. She said she sold food and other household items during the war in exchange for Nigerian pounds, which she then used to buy cigarettes, potash, salt, and marijuana, since Biafran currency was not recognized beyond its borders. She sold items to both residents and Biafran soldiers. I was bringing salt to Oguta, she recalled, and selling weed. Please stay with me. You're going to like this. The civil war in Oguta and other areas in Biafra was life-changing. After it ended, markets, schools, homes, and lives devastated by bombs and bullets had to be rebuilt. In addition, the federal government's policy of giving 20 pounds to Igbos with bank savings, irrespective of what they own. By the way, this thing that people always talk about, this 20 pounds thing, we'll have a session on it. People in the South should forever be grateful for the 20 pounds. It was not a right. It was a gift, which in hindsight was unnecessary. You know why? What Papa did was good. Giving 20 pounds was actually good. But now, on the Fibisholore is like, maybe you should just let everybody, because after the American Civil War, nobody gave anybody any money. How much did the North give to the South to rebuild? They say, okay, oh, each and every one of you must get $20. Did it happen in American history? No. In Nigeria, where it happened, people say things like, regardless of how much you had, they'll give you £20. You did not. £20 was not your money. It was a gift. Now, I'm sorry if I sound a bit harsh. It's just because people have used that thing again and again as though Nigeria did something to hurt them. No, Nigeria did something to help you. They gave £20 to everybody. Why? This topic don't change. You know what? This topic has changed. So let's stay with this for a bit. They gave the £20 policy because people did not have anything to prove that they had money in banks. Those who had proof of the money they had in banks, they got their money back. I played a video here of one of those men who talked about how his father got £6,000 from Barclays Bank. Oh boy, this light is going to stop me. Would you guys mind if I just do this? Guys, please. I'm sure you can hear the beeping sound. It's not helping.